Hi everyone, and welcome to our session on the Master of Laws and the Master of International Trade and Commerce Law. My name is Jacqueline Albert and I'm a student ambassador here at Macquarie University. In this session, I'm very pleased to welcome Dr Michelle Lim, who is a Macquarie Law School's Postgraduate Director and Course Director for both of the programs we're about to discuss today.
Thanks, Jacqueline, and hi everyone.
So to start us off, Michelle, I was wondering if you could please tell our audience a little bit more about the Master of Laws and the Master of International Trade and Commerce Law.
Yeah, so two really interesting courses in terms of where you take your interests next, but also where you take your career next. So on the one hand, you've got what we call the LLM, the Master of Laws, and what we call the Masters of International Trade and Commerce Law. And yes, therefore needing an acronym we refer to as the MITCL. So what these two courses allow students to do is really extend their interests and explore their career paths. And the similarities of the two courses, they're both a year long if they're done full time, but the differences, again, reflecting where you want to take your career. So the LLM targeted towards mostly those who already have a law degree and really wanting to do that deep dive into a particular subject which they have this really keen interest in. And you see that reflected in how the course is set up as well, mostly electives. So in many ways, it's your choose your own degree, design your own degree. And you could choose, if you have a particular interest in environmental law, for example, huge range of different environmental law courses, climate change law, environmental law and sustainable development, law of the sea, etc., etc. Similarly, you could choose a path in health and intellectual property law, or a bit of all of them, and that we also have courses in refugee and migration law. On the other hand, the MITCL is a really nice postgraduate degree for people who have a previous degree in law and are really keen to focus their careers in that very global trade, global commerce direction. But at the same time, in that course, you have not only law students, but also people who have degrees in business and commerce and international relations, really interested in taking their career that next level, understanding the laws that regulate business, where innovation can occur, or where the laws might hinder what particular course that they might want to take in their business or international relations careers. And in that course, it's much more structured, as the name suggests, having core courses in areas of trade, international law, but then electives in areas of commercial law and particular trade and the environment being another elective. So very much what it says on the box in terms of the two courses, one very targeted in terms of international trade and commerce, and the other being more open to those who already have a law degree and just want to take their passion and interest to that next level.
Wonderful. I love that there's that option and flexibility between choosing either of them. I feel like that's really nice, just coming from a law student's perspective, to have that option of doing something that allows you to specialize more from your undergrad versus having a degree that's really specialized and targeted. So I think that's a really good way of explaining it. The second question I had, which sort of feeds on from that first question, was what should students consider before applying for either of these courses?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. It does link very well to the last thing we've discussed. So similarly, thinking about where, first of all, where your passion lies, but also what sort of career path you're interested in taking. In terms of entry requirements, with the LLM, much more of that extend your law degree, go further in your law degree, use the LLM as a path to progressing in your career, whether that be in government or in legal practice. And in the MITCL, this very interdisciplinary in many ways and international course where you've got law students and students without a law background but coming with that experience in business and in international relations, but also a very international cohort as well. So it's one, thinking about the entry requirements for those different courses, but ultimately thinking about what really excites you, a more focused international commerce trade law degree or other areas of law where you can really go in depth on the issues that you might have had some exposure to in your undergraduate degree, but really are really excited about going that next step in postgraduate studies.
Yeah, no, it sounds really exciting. I completely agree with everything you've said. And again, this feeds on really well to our next question, and it's what sort of things can students expect to learn and develop from these courses?
Yeah, so definitely that having teachers in the classroom who are passionate about their particular area of law. We've got excellent researchers at Macquarie Law School. So, for example, we have the key professor in the world in global trade and environment issues. We also have people who are authorities on the law of the sea, on intellectual property. It's these people who will be in the classroom and will be teaching you. So research is really the foundation of all of our postgraduate courses, and students being at the centre. But at the same time, there's this huge focus on skills and teaching law in context, because yes, students will get this idea of, how to use the law, what does the law mean, how to interpret the law. But there's so much more that comes from doing a postgraduate degree in law. You'll be encouraged to challenge the law itself, to unpack what the underlying values are in shaping the law. We won't just be going, what does Section 21A say? But we'll be going, is that the right section? Is this being able to critique the law? So very much teaching law in context, also building those research skills as well as analytical skills and the capacity to do research on that next level. So being able to engage with the literature as you go into your careers, and importantly, being able to phrase those persuasive arguments beyond that very in-depth knowledge that you also gain in the course, but those associated skills as well.
Yeah, one of the things that I quite like about your response there is focusing on this whole research element of law. I think when I was, in year 12 and I was looking into doing law, I very much sort of thought that law would teach you how to read a statute and it would teach you just legislation and a little bit of case law, but I definitely didn't appreciate or even understand at the time that law is also, as you said, about figuring out whether or not our current system is working and what ways we could change that and whether or not it would be more just or equitable and all those terms that you learn about. So I really like that we have these degrees where we can extend that research, those research skills. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. And then that's a really good point as well with both degrees. One of the core units of both degrees is research methodologies as one of the core units that students need to take. So before you even start engaging with the content, it's about, well, how do you research? How do you make those arguments? What are those key elements of research? And in many ways, distinguishing it or building on existing skills that students would have gotten from their undergraduate degrees.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, again, feeds on to our next question, and it's what sort of careers and job opportunities do you think will open up for graduates who complete either of these courses?
Yeah, so, and though related, depending on whether you do the LLM or the MITCL, I'm sure people are already thinking about the different careers that would open up in terms of each of them. So in the MITCL, even if you are working within an Australian business, what businesses nowadays don't have some sort of international component to them? So being able to understand the laws around international trade, how trade and commerce is so interconnected, that's going to bring a lot of added value to people who have that postgraduate degree, have the MITCL as a postgraduate degree, also international organizations such as the WTO, or if you work for government, being able to have that additional postgraduate degree, which allows you to advise government, advise policy in terms of what are some of the international trade and commerce implications of particular policies or other decisions of government. And at the same time, if you were to go into practice, again, having that additional component that, because with undergraduate degrees, it's very largely jurisdiction focused, so Australia focused. Having that additional international law understanding is really going to help you in your role as if you're a solicitor engaging with international clients. And with the LLM, as we said, it's this chance, this opportunity to really go in depth on the things that really excite you and interest you. And for example, yesterday, our Centre of Environmental Law, we run these monthly webinars where we invite scholars from all over the world to come and speak. And we got this lovely email at the end of the presentation. It was a former graduate from Macquarie, now working in the Environment Protection Agency, and having those continued links with the, because we do have these huge strengths in environmental law at Macquarie University, and that students continue to see the benefit of that and continue tapping into those links is something that's really nice to see. So to directly answer your question in terms of the LLM, a lot of opportunities in taking your career next level in terms of what you could do in terms of advising government, international organizations, even in legal practice, and also when it comes to understanding how society works, essentially, and being able to create strong arguments, having those strong research skills that are highly transferable into a range of different careers.
I have to say, you're making me want to do both of these degrees just from our conversation. They sound so interesting. And I hope everybody watching this video as well is just as excited as I am about these degrees. If you have any more questions about either of the courses that we've discussed today, or would like to have a one-on-one discussion to talk about them, you can always contact our postgraduate team on 02 9850 6791, or via email, which is postgraduate@macquarie.edu.au. Thank you for watching, and thank you again to Michelle for being here today, and we hope to see you at Macquarie University sometime soon.